The best way to get dream clients to work with is by putting in resistance and a bit of friction between who you actually let into your pipeline and who you'll follow up with. This will also save you a lot of time as well because you're not dealing with tire kickers. So essentially, and I'll just draw this as a normal funnel. We're all familiar with the funnel. Whether you want to say it's a funnel or a pipeline or whatever, it doesn't matter, okay? Now, realistically, what the vast majority of businesses are doing is they're doing absolutely anything that they can to get as many leads as possible into here, okay? So it doesn't matter whether it's ads, doesn't matter whether it's outbound, whether it's cold calling, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's trade shows, whether it's literally whatever at all. They're just doing everything they can to get as many leads as possible. But then what they're doing is just wasting a lot of time because the vast majority of those leads are not going to convert. And this is the same for pretty much every single business on the planet, okay? Now, of course, there's businesses that are a lot better at getting who they actually get into their pipeline converting, but there's a reason for that because they're putting restrictions and friction in place. So essentially what you want to be doing pretty much when somebody, now look, there's two different ways you can do this. You can do this before they enter the pipeline, or you can do it after they enter the pipeline. Personally, I prefer to do it after they enter the pipeline. I actually think this helps to qualify and verify leads a lot better in my opinion, but of course there's other ways you can do it and I'll show you the two examples, okay? So let's say that you are just, again, like these people here, trying to get as many leads as possible. For most businesses, what they're doing is they're essentially wasting their time because they're assigning them, again, depending on how big the business is, they're assigning salespeople to follow up with all these people here, okay? Again, they're wasting their time. These people don't answer their phones, they don't answer their emails, all that sort of stuff, okay? There's a lot that goes on here because the more leads you can, and this is just the nature of business, especially when you're dealing with anybody online as well. This is just the nature of how this works. And again, it doesn't even need to be online. You could meet these people at a trade show. Or you could be doing door-to-door sales, but the vast majority of people are gonna kind of just humor you, for example, okay? So even if you do get their lead details, they have no intention of moving forward. But how do we reduce that? How do we flush those people out straight away so we're only working the right people? Instead of manually doing this, it's very, very simple. There's two different ways you can do it. So let's say this is all of the leads that you have, okay? So every single lead that you have. So what you want to do then is you want to have only your qualified leads in here, okay? Now there's a couple different ways that you can actually look at this. So even before we actually jump to the qualified leads, one thing that you can do as well, which is very helpful, is any of the leads that are verified, okay? Now, what I mean by verified, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. So when somebody is actually filling out that particular form, it doesn't matter what form it is, it doesn't matter whether they are on an iPad at a trade show when they meet you, it doesn't matter whether it's on their phone, it doesn't matter whether they're on their laptop, it doesn't matter at all, okay? But there'll be some particular form of how you capture that person's details because they could be booking a call, they could be downloading Lead Magnet. It's a form regardless, okay? It's always going to be a form. So there's two different ways you can verify people. You can verify them by getting them to actually send an SMS to their phone or to send an email confirmation, obviously to their email to say, yes, this is my real email, so that we're not filling up our list with bad emails or bad SMS messages or SMS phone numbers, again, depending on whether you collect phone numbers or emails or both. You can actually have people verify that before they actually hit submit on your form, because that means that they're not even going to go into the pipeline at all straight away, okay? Now, another way that you can do this is if you're not doing it on the form, actually, I'll just leave that there. What you can do is, as soon as everybody goes into here, you should be immediately sending them an email to say, thanks very much for signing up to the form and either downloading this or booking a call or whatever it was that they did, just to verify that you're receiving our emails and it's not going to spam, all that sort of stuff. Either white label us or please reply to this particular email with the word yes or verified or whatever word you want to choose, okay? That will eliminate a lot of people because a lot of people aren't going to see it. So if it is a case that you're going into spam, well, you're probably never going to know that, but there's no point in following up with those people because they'll never see your emails either, okay? But it means that the people who do get your emails, who you did land in the inbox for, and again, there's ways that you can set it up to try and always land in the inbox, which of course is what you should be doing, but a lot of businesses don't do that, so they end up in spam. But again, by following this particular method, that means that the people that you are going to be following up with then, they've already verified themselves to say, yes, you're in my inbox. Yes, I'm getting the messages that you're sending. And yes, you can continue to contact me as well. Now, the reason you do this immediately is because you want people to be essentially verifying themselves as fast as possible. Because if you leave it pretty much anything after 5 to 10 minutes, those people have moved on to something else. Either they've moved on to a different tab on their device, they've taken out their phone because notifications went off, their phone rang, they had to answer a phone call, the doorbell went if they're working from home, somebody knocked on the office if they're working not from home. There's loads of different things that can happen here. So you want to verify these people as fast as possible, okay? Then the next thing you want to do is you want to qualify them as well, okay? So look, you're probably going to be losing a lot of leads here, but that's the point, because you want to be only focusing on the leads that are actually going to convert. So instead of spending a lot of time on all these people up here, which is what a lot of businesses do, have them self-verify and also have them self-qualify as well. Now, how do they actually self-qualify? Well, for the vast majority of businesses out there, actually pretty much every business, and you probably know yourself, there's about 3 to 5 qualification questions that you could ask that person that you want to work with, okay? So it could be a case of, and again, this is of course going to be different for every single business out there, and of course it's going to be different for your business, but you will know exactly the dream clients you want to work with. You know what categories they fit into. So it could be a case of, what is your annual revenue? Are we able to work with you based on annual revenue? What is your team size? How many people are on your team, or how many people do you employ? It could be a case of even where are you located? So it could be a case of, let's just say that that's a globe. So it could be a case of where are you located, because you might have regulatory things that you can do for someone in the States, but you can't do it for somebody in Canada. Or maybe you could only do it in particular states because of the laws. There's going to be loads of different things of how you can react with that sort of stuff as well, okay? Now, of course, if people answer these, and you can just have these as a very simple radio buttons that people can click. They don't actually have to fill anything out, and let them know that when they're self-qualifying or just before they're about to as well. Again, this is just like a survey / form, but it's got what's known as conditional logic in it. So let's say that if somebody says anything between 0 and 10,000 a year, you can immediately disqualify those people and they're not good to work with. Now, you don't have to feel guilty about that, because you're not going to be able to help them regardless, of course, depending on if that's how your business operates. Or if they have a team where it's only themselves, and then you might be a case of, sorry, but we can't help you. You need to have this particular person employed. You need to have that particular person employed. You need to have these people on your team, or else we won't be able to help you. Again, it's just very, very dependent on your particular business and what you do for people, and you know how you can actually get this stuff done. Saying, as I said, with location, there's loads of different things that you can put as a qualifier there as well. So when people do go through this and they self-qualify themselves, obviously there's going to be a few people that actually end up where they are your ideal client. And they are the only people that we want to be working with then. Because what we have then down here is, as people are qualifying, then what we have is the only people that we have down here are actually, I'm just going to put QL, qualified leads, okay? So qualified leads, because we know they're qualified, because not only if they verified themselves, they're getting all of our contact information that we're sending out, which we've already verified, because they've self-verified that. We've also got them to self-qualify, so we know at this stage now that we're not wasting our time. And by the way, this is all automated. This is all automated at this stage as well. So you're not having to reach out to people and call them and say, I saw you downloaded our thing and all that sort of stuff. Let this all happen in the space of 5 minutes essentially. And again, the people who are doing this and they actually do go through this, that also tells you as well that they are more likely to convert, because if they're going through all these stages here, they've got a big enough of a problem that they're filling out all this information for you. I say all this information, it literally takes seconds for them to do. They fill out this information for you and they're a qualified lead. So everyone that you have in here, which, yes, let's say it might take up half of your pipeline, you may have gotten rid of, let's say, 50% leads. That's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing, because so many businesses are going, well, how can we get more people that are in here converting? That's not really the way to look at it, because you're trying to push people, you're trying to force people who either aren't ready, aren't qualified, are going to be a nightmare client. There's a host of reasons that you don't want to do that, okay? Have them all self-verify, self-qualify, and automate this whole process, so you're only then working on qualified leads. Then when you get down here, you can start being a bit more personalized with these people, because you know you're not wasting your time then if you were to pick up the phone and call them, or if you were to record a Loom video and email it to them, because you know it's going to be valuable to them because they're qualified, and you know they're going to get it in their inbox because they're verified as well. So there's a whole host of reasons that you want to do this, but it just speeds up the process so much, and it speeds up your pipeline progress as well. Yes, it may get rid of 50% of your pipeline, but that's a good thing. But like anytime when I say it'll get rid of 50% of your pipeline, a lot of business owners, they get terrified and go, why would I want to do that? But the reason is because you're only then working with the people who you actually want to work with, who are actually qualified leads. So that means that when they are a qualified lead, more than likely, they're probably ready to go to the next stage fairly fast as well. So let's say that that's a sales call or a conversation. So I'm just going to put SC, so let's say it's sales conversation. And then realistically, again, because they've gone through all of this sort of stuff, they're more than likely to convert a little faster as well into actual revenue as well. So let's just say that that's called closed, okay? So it's much faster, much easier and a much nicer process if you go through the process this way as well. Now, just before I finish on this, let me say as well that all of this sort of stuff that we have here, where let's say somebody, they weren't verified, they didn't qualify, all that sort of stuff, okay? That doesn't mean that these people aren't ready. Because if you saw my previous video, only about 3% of the marketplace are ready at one time. So it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of these people immediately. Now, in regards to the verification thing, there's a couple of different ways that you can get back to that person and verify. One of the ways that we do it is if you were asking for SMS and email, if they were to, again, verify both, actually our own system can check that. And again, we show people how to do that in A3. If you want to learn more about that, you can check out the first link in the description. But essentially, if they put in their phone number and their email and one of them doesn't match up because the system automatically checks, let's say that their email doesn't work, then they'll get an SMS to say, hey, this is the email we have on file. We've tried it, it doesn't seem to work. Can you please reply back to this SMS with your real email? Now that can be sometimes very simple. People make typos in their emails. They didn't put this particular character or whatever it might be. And the reverse is the exact same as well. So again, if somebody's phone number, if we check it, and again, our system will do that automatically, then we'll be able to send them an email to say, hey, is this the phone number that you have on file? We tried to send a message, but it didn't go through. Can you please reply with your real email or your verified email? And again, people will get back. So you're able to actually verify people even when they put in the wrong information as well. Okay, so they're kind of advanced tips. And then again, with the qualification side of things, if people aren't qualified, again, that doesn't mean you get rid of them. It doesn't mean that they go into closed loss. It doesn't mean that you throw those people in the bin. They go into essentially a waiting stage, okay? So again, depending on how you do business, it could be a case of like every month that you take on new people, or you have capacity to take on new people all the time, depending on if your delivery is automated, or you do it every quarter, or whatever it is at all, okay? These people here, really, really important. You're not getting rid of the people who are not qualified. They're going on to essentially a waiting list. Now, they don't have to be told you're on a waiting list, but again, you can keep sending these people content and information and updates, and at some point, they will be ready as well, okay? But you might want to put them into either a separate pipeline or a separate funnel, because again, they're really the people who need a lot of warm up, a lot of nurture to get them to that stage. Because again, that doesn't mean that the business won't grow to the stage that you want it to. And again, if you're over time continuously giving this person helpful information, which is the same content you're sending out to these people as well, to nurture them and to keep warming them up, well then at some point, these people will convert as well. So that's just essentially money that's just waiting to convert at some stage later on as well, okay? These people here, they're going to convert a lot faster, but these people, and you'll have a lot more of these people in the pipeline, people who perhaps are not qualified yet. Again, all you're doing is you're just building up banks of future revenue there. That's all you're doing. So look, hopefully you got some value from that. As I mentioned, if you want to know how we do this and how all of our clients do this and how we automate the process, you can check out the first link in the description.